Good. Just waiting to go live.
You're live.
Okay. We are live. This is the Senate Education Committee at Woodstock High School on November 11th. I'm sorry, November 18th, 2025. I'm Seth Bongartz. I'm the chair of the Senate Education Committee. And just for a little bit of context, we tried during the last session to get the committee out to some schools, and it's impossible. Once we're in session, it's impossible. We couldn't get to the Montpelier High School that we could see out the window because there's just no time. So we're using this time before the session starts to get out and visit some schools. And what we're trying to do before I introduce the committee is we're trying to, as a committee, think about the challenges and opportunities and what schools are doing in different settings around Vermont to meet the goal of, and I at least like to talk about it as providing excellent educational opportunities for every Vermont child. And we have different obstacles to that in different parts of the state and different opportunities, and schools are doing it differently. And I find all that both fascinating and really it's critical for us to understand. So we're here today at Woodstock for our second of 5 visits. And really, if we are anything today, we are sponges. We're just here to learn as much as we can about the way that you're achieving that goal, and both the challenges and the things that you're doing and the opportunities that you see ahead to help us be as well informed as we can possibly be as we go back to Montpelier, Charlie, this January and pick up our work where we left off. So with that, we'll introduce the committee. On my left is our vice chair.
Dave Weeks, live in Proctor, represent Rutland County.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nader Hashim. I'm a senator from Windham County.
Good morning, everybody. Terry Williams. I live in Pulteney, and I'm from Rutland District.
Good morning, Steve Heffernan, and I'm from the Addison County District.
And I neglected to say that I represent the Bennington Senate District, which includes Bennington County and a few towns from Windham. And I saw Charlie Kimball come in. Just since he's here, we'll introduce Charlie Kimball, the rep from Woodstock, actually.
Charlie Kimball, state rep for Windsor 5, yes, Woodstock right in front.
So I know that you have really put a lot of time and effort into thinking about this day, and some of me and with so for the committee. But so at this point, I think we're going to do. You're going to be introduced to your district. So you're on.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Bristow, and I'm on the school board. But separate and apart from that, I taught in this building for 39 years, teaching first French, then Spanish, and then joined the school board during the pandemic when I was recruited for whatever reason, somehow finding myself to be the board chair, which I did not aspire to be. However, that's who I am. And I want to say to you, thank you so much for coming here today. We really appreciate you understanding better the education in our schools, all of our schools. We represent 7 towns and then an 8th choice town that mostly sends their students to us, small towns and bigger towns. And I'm very proud of the education in this district. For the 39 years that I taught here, I always felt as though we were getting close to being really great. And I think that currently the state of education in this district is excellent. The test scores from the state show that to us, and it's amazing what has happened in the last few years around literacy, math, and science education, along with the other disciplines that are taught in the district. You'll find that we're a very high performing district. You're going to hear from students today, teachers, parents, and community members. You will see the state of our building this afternoon and understand why we're furiously trying to get ourselves a bond to build a new school here. And I just want to say as well that Act 46 was very difficult across our state. It was very difficult here, and we were already working together as a somewhat of a district. And it took a long time, but in the end, we are stronger, we are better. We have a lot of merged functions, and I think that ultimately we yielded to a strong, functional, and collaborative team. So thank you for your time and interest in Mountain View's Supervisory Union. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sherry Souza. I'm the proud superintendent of Mountain View Supervisory Union, an educator in this district for now 32 years. I want to begin with, we are MVSU. So we are 5 elementary schools. We have a commitment to full-time public pre-K, and we have pre-K classrooms in Barnard, Killington, Reading, and Woodstock with over 100 pre-K students. We have 1 middle and high school that you're sitting in right now. We have and have maintained approximately 1,000 students in our SU. We have 250 faculty and staff, and we are one of the largest employers in this region. We are building a strong foundation. We are above the Vermont state averages for proficiency in literacy, math, and science. And we are a community of learners centered on students, family, educator, and community relationships. So our communities and schools include Barnard Academy, Killington Elementary, Prosper Valley School, Reading Elementary, Woodstock Elementary, and Woodstock Union Middle and High Schools. You'll now hear from teachers and students from each of those elementary schools.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melissa Zorhide. I'm the principal at Barnard Academy, and we are so happy that you've taken this time to listen to us today. Our school is preschool through 6th grade, and it's really the heart of our town community. Our students feel at home and form really strong relationships with each other. I was at a meeting with parents last night, and one of our new families said that her 3-year-old daughter comes home every day and just can't stop talking about how the big kids are so nice to me. And that's just a really nice example of how the trust in our school is really strong within the relationships with parents. And I'm here not to be the person who does most of the talking. We're just going to have a few things that one of my teachers and 2 of our students want to share about our school. Our first student is Phoebe Heaney, and she is a 6th grade student who joined in just the last couple of years with her 4 younger siblings. And so she's going to share a little bit. And then Hannah Wheeler, a 6th grader who's been in our school since she was in preschool, and our 5th and 6th grade teacher, who is their teacher, he also is going to share. So thank you so much.
How many students in the school?
Oh, 65 students, and
Okay.
we're all multi-grade classrooms.
Okay.
So we have 4 classrooms.
Okay.
And it fluctuates, our numbers fluctuate year to year pretty dramatically because of how many students go out and how many students come in at the preschool level. We have some very small classes. They're combined so that it's a bigger classroom. Our smallest class is only 3 students, but then we have 15 students and they come together. Their classroom is 22 students combined. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as she said, I'm Phoebe, and I think that the best part about Barnard Academy is that we have like a sense of community, and we're on the smaller side of schools, and so the teachers can focus on like the kids that need more help. I came from Rhode Island, and we had a big school, so the teachers, if somebody was struggling, the teachers would assume that everybody was struggling. So then we had to go over and over, and then the kids who like had it down had to like learn it over, and we were kind of slow. And yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
I'm Hannah, and I've been a student at Barnard for 8 years, and the school has like really big opportunities to be leaders now that I'm in 6th grade. And like you could like plan field trips and like school celebrations, and it's just really been like a really fun 8 years.
Aaron Boucher, teach 5th and 6th grade at Barnard. I think both these students spoke about the sense of community that we feel at Barnard. I believe every student feels welcome and supported in the work that we do there. Just as a quick anecdote, I was talking to a parent the other day who had to take her student out for a dentist appointment, and it was, looking like they were going to get back with maybe an hour left in school. And she asked the student, well, do you want to go back to school or do you want to just come home? And he said, I want to go back to school. I want to be there. I don't want to miss anything. And I say that not because it's surprising or shocking to me, but because I think that's the standard that we maintain at Barnard, is that every student feels supported and every student wants to be there. And I've worked at schools before where we struggle with things like absenteeism and truancy, and we ask ourselves, like, what else could we be doing different here? And I think it's a tough question, and I don't know that it warrants an easy answer. It takes a lot of work. I can point to a lot of things that we're doing right at Barnard. I can say we have a super involved parent organization, the Barnard Bees. I can say we have a devoted teaching staff that's constantly trying to elevate their teaching. I can say we have a supportive administrative staff. Our whole faculty and staff is super supportive. And we have really great, kind, thoughtful kids at Barnard. And so to all of that, I think it's difficult. It's difficult to replicate those things. It's something that's built up over time, but not something that happens by accident. It's a lot of people just doing the very best that they can for these kids, and I'm really glad to be a part of it. And I appreciate the time that you've all taken here today to hear from us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Got a question for, so you teach 5th and 6th.
Yes.
Is there any downfalls for having 5th and 6th that you run into? Or is it pretty smooth that actually it helps the 5th graders?
I think in a lot of ways it does help to have those the 6th grade. By the time our students are in 6th grade, I really feel like they're getting that sense of leadership, of being an example for the rest of the school. So I think they really do help those 5th graders. When it comes to things like balancing the math curriculum, we've come up with some very creative fixes. For example, I teach exclusively the 5th graders in math while the 6th graders go to Spanish, and then we switch so that I'm able to give both classes the amount of time that they need within each discipline. So I think that having that small school has led to some creative problem solving.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Got one for you. So you've got 4 classrooms, and so you're multi-class classrooms.
Yes.
Can you give me a sense of how the older next grade students work to help maybe mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 5th and 6th grade students have taken time to join the kindergarten and preschool classrooms in reading to those students. In the past, we've established kind of a buddy system where students that are new to the school can have a mentor, older student who stays with them, who kind of shows them the ropes and goes over just like different things about the school that they need to know. So I really think that that's also part of the community. And so many students have older siblings and just kids that they look up to in general that help to build that.
I think Phoebe kind of alluded to that. She really enjoys that part of where she came from, a bigger school, and she didn't have that sense of community. So
Yeah, exactly.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Guggenberger, and I'm the principal at Killington Elementary School. And I feel so fortunate that we're able to share all the wonderful things about all of our schools here today with you. And if you've ever been to Killington, you know that Killington is basically a 5-mile road up to the top of the ski resort. There's no like town center. but our school is really considered the town center of Killington. And I'm going to introduce some people who will tell you a little bit more about it. This is Nora Rudy. She's in 6th grade at Killington, and her teacher, Amy Simon, 5th and 6th grade teacher.
Hi, I'm Noah Rudy, and I'm in 6th grade at Killington Elementary School. I'm here to tell you why KES is special. In 6th grade, we have leadership privileges like putting on plays, like great plays and holiday plays that we put on for students and parents. And we run a haunted house every year. This year, we ran a haunted house and invited the entire community. It's a fun tradition. We also do Big Friend, Little Friend, where we can do fun projects like building Lego pumpkin cars and testing them down ramps to see how far they get. We also made obstacle courses out of chalk with our little friends. We do lots of science, like we learn about solar wind power and experimented with how many volts it produced. This year, we had a solar carnival where we partnered up with someone to make an invention with solar panels. Some people made a solar car or boat. Last year, 5th graders went to Starbase and built rockets in Moscow and programmed cars. We also did stewardship on a nature trail by raking it and lining it with logs so people would not get lost. We also dug out a cellar and found artifacts like coal and brick. In 4th grade, we used the nature trail for sugaring, and it's a privilege that 4th graders have. And we went into our sugar shack and boiled tests, and we each got to take a half a pint home. We also have a music program where all students can play an instrument like steel drums, recorders, boom markers, ukuleles, and more. We're also a band and jazz band where kids can learn to play instruments beyond those we do in music class. I love KS because of all those things.
Very good.
Great job, Nora. She hit on a lot of wonderful points about how we have a very rigorous math and science program, great instrument and unified arts program. My name is Amy Simons. I am the 6th grade teacher at Killington Elementary School. I have been incredibly grateful to be in this district for 23 years. Very grateful and blessed to be at Killington Elementary School for 23 years and in this district. So I teach 6th grade, so I can attest to the fact that we're a very cohesive supervisory union, very cohesive district, and we've all gone through the same professional development together so that for math and for science and for literacy, so that when all of our kids do meet up at this location, they are very well prepared for middle school and high school. So I'm, again, very grateful to be here. Nora touched a lot about like I said, the science and math and our nature trail and stewardship programs. But as Mary, our Guggenberger said, our principal, KES is really the hub of our community. It's really the heart and soul of the Killington community. The 6th graders just put on a haunted house at the KP, at the Killington Pico Area Association, invited the whole community. It was a wonderful event. Where the 2nd and 3rd graders are going to be doing a holiday store in a few weeks, and we have parents that come in from 10-20 years ago and drop off their stuff to sell. They do sugaring in 4th grade. We have former parents come in and community members that come in and boil the sap with the kids. Those are just a few examples of just why I'm grateful to be in this district and at Killington. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So I know we're going to hear a little bit more about this, but maybe one of you talk to us about, either one of you, the work you're doing in literacy to prepare kids for high school.
Sure. Yeah.
I know it's unified across I know it's a theme, so I just want to hear from one of the schools. I just want to hear a little bit about.
Yeah, so we are implementing a brand new program. It was piloted last year. It's called PEL. It's very rigorous. The amount of time that each classroom has to spend on it, we are committed to. For example, K through 3 are spending 120 minutes a day on just literacy projects, reading and writing, and then word study on top of that. And then grades 4 through 6, their minimum time that they spend is, I think it's 60 minutes of reading, and along with word study and fluency and just a volume of reading. which, this is in every single one of our elementary schools. So when they come to Woodstock, the middle school, all of the K through 6 students have had this program, and they're all entering pretty much on the same page.
Okay.
And
And how many kids at the Killington K through 6?
We're 112, pre-K
112,
through
okay.
6.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Devin Workman. I'm the principal at the Prosper Valley School. I'm very proud to have been able to wear a lot of hats at the Prosper Valley School. I started as a paraprofessional years ago, moved in to be a first grade teacher there, was a special educator there for a number of years, and then now have the opportunity to be the leader of that school. We're 5th and 6th grade only. We have 6 homerooms this year. And today to speak to about 110 kids. And today to speak more about Prosper Valley, I have Levon Stallard, a 6th grade student at Prosper Valley, and his teacher, Miss Kelly Jean.
Good morning. My name is Levon Stallard. I'm a 6th grader at the Prosper Valley School. I'm here to talk about my experience at school. Here at Prosper Valley, we have many unique, amazing things. We have a ropes course inside and outside. The ropes courses help me and my classmates learn about teamwork. They're also great for exercise. My favorite memory from this school is probably sugary. In 5th grade, we got to collect sap and make maple syrup at our very own sugar stack. That was extremely fun, and I would definitely like to do it again. At our school, from time to time, we go on hikes. On our hikes, we write poetry about our surroundings and we learn about nature. We also have an observatory at our school. This observatory helps us learn about the universe around us. In my day, I do projects with extremely helpful teachers who show us how to learn. I'm very grateful to go to this school, and our Prosper Valley community would probably agree with me too. That's all I have.
Can I ask you a question? What's your favorite class?
Probably wellness, PE,
PE and art?
and music.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kelly Jean. I'm an educator of 17 years, and this is my 2nd year with the district. I've been in lots of different places, and I am so completely honored to be a part of this community here. I hope to have all my years in education finishing out here at this district. At the Prosper Valley School, our motto is challenging the mind, encouraging the heart. And that's really the foundation and the lens of all of our decision making as educators. And I think what that kind of boils down to is this very high level of engagement with both like the whole child, the mind, the heart, what they want, what they're curious about. At our core of our practice is a very deep, immersive learning experience grounded in community, place, and skill building. We support all students through very robust whole group curriculum, as what was said with EL, and as well just really thinking about what the kids are interested in and how we can support them as they grow within our community as community members and as citizens. Along with that, we have very flexible small groups that change throughout our trimesters and our years to really give students exactly what they need through multi-tiered systems of support for both reading, math, and also behavior as well, and that sort of social emotional piece. At TPS, we always strive for a strength-based approach, looking to see how students can be the most successful with their strengths and how we can help them grow. And I really think that this leads to an amazing amount of confidence and self-awareness, self-reflection. We do a lot of like rubrics and thinking about our learning, sort of that metacognition that was mentioned, like really learning about how we learn. And through the teaching staff, we really try to provide like many pathways, many avenues for that grade level success and mastery. I really want to swing back to that engagement piece. One thing that we really do well at the Prosper Valley School is our celebrations of learning, where we bring the community in and the students become the teachers, and they teach their parents, they teach their families, they teach the 5th graders speaking of like from 6th to 5th and 5th to 6th, they teach each other what they've been learning. And the joy and the engagement that you see in those celebrations of learning are like, I have chills. Like that's why we do this. Those are the big light bulb moments. They are so proud of what they do. And I really think a lot of that comes back to the teachers as well. Every single day, I'm so honored to be a part of this teaching staff because we bring joy and passion for what we do. And that directly affects the engagement in every discussion, every lesson, every celebration that we have. So thank you so much.
Cool, yeah, good. Question?
Yeah.
Just to make sure we understand this, 5 and 6 schools are a little bit different than you normally get. And so tell us about, are you the school that, are there some smaller schools that only go to 4 and then you have kids?
Yes. So
Or how many schools do you take kids from and then before they come?
Yeah, so we have students from Reading, from West, from Woodstock, and then also because of school choice, we can have students from Barnard or Killington as well, but most of our students are coming from Reading and West. And so it's just this beautiful little like nest for these students where they can really grow their confidence, grow their skills so that they're fully ready for middle school, like a bigger school experience. So this year we have 3 classes of 5th grade and 3 classes of 6th grade.
How many kids?
I think altogether was it 110. 110, yeah. I have 17. Usually I think they're about that, around 17 to 18. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So can you give me, maybe this is a better question for your superintendent, but some kind of a sense of how the distance between all your schools. Yeah, I'm on the western part of the state and, I understand, I hear Reading, I know the name of the town, but I don't know where it is.
I'm not sure the distance between Reading and the Prosper Valley School. I know I drive by Barnard and at least a lot of the schools like around Woodstock are pretty close.
Okay.
It takes about 5 minutes from Prosper to Woodstock, probably 10 minutes between Prosper and Barnard.
So it's not an hour and a half bus trip
No,
to get to any of these schools.
I think Killington and Reading.
13.2 miles from Reading to Prosper Valley.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more question.
So actually, questions for, is it Sherry, superintendent? So the concept of school choice was just brought up.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you can give an overview of, obviously everybody's funneled into the middle school and high school here. Can you give a sense of school choice for the elementary level?
We have inter-district choice, so part of our Act 46 merger, one of the things that individual towns asked for is that parents could self-select what school, elementary school they want to enroll in. And so it makes sense if you're in Bridgewater, which is halfway between Woodstock Elementary and Killington Elementary, families, that's been a decision they can make. Parents from Plymouth, they haven't identified school as Woodstock Elementary School, but they could choose to Reading. And so parents choose for different reasons. And so we have, 10 students here and there funneling into Woodstock Elementary School, pre-K4, majority. And so at Prosper Valley Schools, we have students from Pomfret, Reading, Woodstock, Bridgewater, some from Barnard. So it really is an inter-district school. Parents may choose, no, I really want for my child a pre-K6 experience, which we offer at Barnard and Killington. So as a merged district, if you live within our 7 towns, you can do inter-district choice. Once you make that selection, you commit to that selection, and that's reviewed by me as the superintendent annually.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
On that, transportation,
Yes.
for somebody that's the furthest distance away, is it usually up to the parent to get them to school and back from school, or is there a bus system?
So inter-district choice. So if a student is within our bus route and they can access a bus route to go to a school, they can use that bus route. We will not provide additional transportation. So if you're in Killington and you want to attend Prosper Valley School, then that's up to the parent. If you're in Bridgewater and we have a bus route, you can access our existing bus route.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, I'm Amanda Rake. I'm the interim principal and teacher at Reading Elementary School. We have 35 students, so we're the smallest of Mountain View Supervisory Union, but we truly believe that our size is our strength. So we're pre-K through 4th grade. All of our classrooms are multi-age, multi-grade. I brought 2 of our 4th grade students. I have Zoe Marletta, Naomi Emily, and I threw this idea to them yesterday. We sat down over lunch and they prepared an amazing presentation for you, which I think speaks to not only their education and who they are as students, but who they are as young women. And they say everything better than I do, so I'll let them take it away.
We have been thinking about what makes a fairy tale a fairy tale. And honestly, we think our school, Reading Elementary, kind of feels like one. Fairy tales always start in a special place, usually somewhere magical or hidden in the woods. Well, our school really is the heart of our town. We're next to a greenhouse, an art foundation, and a library. And our school is surrounded by acres of forest, meadows, river, and hiking trails. We even have an outdoor classroom where we learn from the world every single day, rain, snow, or shine.
Fairy tales also have brave heroes and tricky challenges. At RES, we get to be the heroes. We work through tough math problems, writing assignments, and real-life challenges. But we're never alone. Our teachers are like guides on our adventure. Since our school is so small, every one of us gets individual attention and help. We can ask questions and we can dig deeper into our learning with each other. And in fairy tales, there's always some magic. When you suddenly understand something you've been working hard on. When we go on field trips or to learning beyond the lesson, challenging ourselves and digging deep into ideas. When you learn outside and discover something cool in the forest. When someone helps you up after you fall, or when you realize you're feeling braver than you were last year. Fairy tales have problems or quests. They have those here too. Friendship challenges, learning challenges, and days that don't always go right. But just like in a fairy tale, we learn to keep going, to ask for help, and to try again. Every mistake is a new stepping stone to the next chapter of learning. And of course, there's always a lesson at the end. At RES, we learn to care for the world, to care for each other, and to take care of ourselves. We learn sustainability, curiosity, teamwork, and kindness. Those lessons don't just feel in school and when we go home. They stick with us and just make us better learners. So what makes a fairy tale a fairy tale? Magical setting, brave characters, challenges, helpers, and important lessons. And what makes Reading Elementary feel like one? All of that, plus an outdoor classroom, real adventures, field trips, and a community that helps us grow. We're not just reading stories here, we're living one where we belong. Together we matter, together we belong.
Wow.
Oh, very nice.
Impressive.
Are you, and so will you both go to the Buska School next year?
Yeah.
And are you excited to do that?
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Maggie Mills. I'm principal of Woodstock Elementary School, which is a pre-K to 4th grade school here in the heart of Woodstock Village. We serve 260 students. That includes a 60-student pre-K program and 200 students from K to 4. We serve students from Woodstock, Pomfret, Bridgewater, and Plymouth primarily, though we do have school choice students from Barnard and Killington as well. I am here with my kindergarten teacher, Kevin Farrell, and a first grader, Trudy Haberman, and they would love to tell you more about what makes Woodstock a wonderful place to learn.
Hi, I'm Kevin Farrell, a kindergarten teacher at Woodstock Elementary. I'd also like to add I am a parent of 2 recent high school graduates from this high school, both attending UVM because they wanted to stay in state and felt that their education here in Vermont was incredible. I would like to speak to something a little bit different than my colleagues have speaking about. We are a unique situation in that our school is in the village. And so we are able to go out into the community quite a bit. I have a forest program for our kindergarten. We extend that pre-K program. They also have a forest program. We travel to Mount Peg once a week, and our kids get to take the skills they've learned in the classroom and exercise those out in the real world. Communication, perseverance, all of the things we want to build in our portrait of a graduate. I also, we have an amazing collaboration through the schools. So, one year I took my kindergartners to Prosper Valley and the sixth graders planned a whole outdoor lesson for them and they executed it in the forest where those kids were drivers of the education, role models. We're giving students a chance to practice their skills and set an example. Like, yes, my students listen to me, I'm the teacher, but when they hear it from another student who's older, it gives them something to look forward to. Like a football players come to the school and they've raised money to buy recess materials. Kids that don't necessarily identify with strong academic skills can see those students and find a role for themselves in the future and understand that when I get to the high school, there will be something there for me. We've had students come and help with our school-wide celebrations. We have students come from the high school to help with the garden out front. We have students come from the high school to help with our Earth Day cleanup. We had the band members come and join in our Halloween parade. Our young learners can see themselves in the future in all of these students, and providing them with those opportunities, one happens because we are in close proximity of the high school and middle school. And it's just an amazing experience for them to see what their future could be like. I feel like at least once a week I say, look, that could be you in 10 years. And they're like, oh, really? Wow, okay. So being able to establish that bond, not just with our high schoolers, but within our community, it just creates this wonderful learning experience where our kids can have agency over what they're doing, feel empowered in their communities, and practice those transferable skills we look for in our graduates. And yes.
Who coordinates all that?
Oh,
all
of us do. I've worked with Devin, I've worked with Aaron, I've worked with Pat Robbins in the C3 program.
Amazing.
Like we just email each other, hey, I've got this idea, what do you think? And then it just becomes a whole thing and we include other schools and then I share it out with my kindergarten colleagues across the district and then they do it. And it's really a collaborative situation. And, you know, there's never a bad idea. Sometimes they don't work and we can't get it coordinated, but on any given week, there are high school mentors in our hallways. There's the Spanish club coming to read bilingual books to our students in their classrooms. I mean, if you can think of it, we get to do it. And it's kind of amazing.
And it's equitable too. I mean, if you can share it that way and everybody can take
Arts,
advantage of it.
athletics,
Right.
you name it. It's not just one group of students. Every student that can come up with an idea, they are heard in this district and we make it happen. And that's a testament to our administration because they are super supportive of that. And I feel like I'm also currently working on my master's degree and I hear other districts, people from other, and I think, wow, I am so lucky to work at Woodstock. We have incredible opportunities that I'm not seeing in other places. So yeah, thank you.
And it sounds, just to follow up on that, it sounds like teachers are given something like individual agency to be creative and do things without.
Absolutely. And like it makes me excited to come to work every day, right? I am a better teacher because I am allowed to have that breadth of kind of thought and planning and we get our academics in and we get it in probably even better than we would because our kids know that when they learn something, they get to take it out of the school and practice that. Like our forest program's amazing. That, you know, they think it's like, whoa, Mount Peg, the biggest thing in the world. And I'm like, oh, teeny tiny Mount Peg. But for them to be able to practice perseverance, communication skills, collaboration, working together. We just had a lesson on habitats. And for the past 2 weeks, every Wednesday, our students have gone out and built these ginormous nests in the woods. And like the whole kindergarten can fit into one of these nests. And it's like, they're just like, the learning is happening, the communication is happening, and we just kind of stand back. They're the drivers of it. And giving kids that tool, that power, that agency over their learning is an incredible gift.
You're a great spokesman. You followed the path.
Thank you. I should say that I came into education as a teacher during the COVID time. I'm one of those crazy people that got certified during COVID. This is my second career and it's a real choice for me. But I feel like it's also a very big gift.
Good. Thank you.
Have.
Can she come around front?
Judy and I'm in first grade. People work together a lot at West to help people. We learn in class. We work together to solve equations. People help each other to, if you were stuck and if you had an equation you couldn't solve, a friend would ask you a question to help you get unstuck.
Hi, good morning. My name's Aaron Sinkimani. I'm the principal of this school, Woodstock Union High School and Middle School. I've been in this district for 5 years. Some of these pictures up here, I just want to walk you through. If we start with the bottom left, you will see, you also have an opportunity this afternoon in our Yo Theater. But I just want to bring your attention to what Mr. Butcher, the teacher at Barnard Academy, spoke to earlier today. One of the things we're really proud of at our school and in our district is students want to be here. Over 80% of our students in the middle school, high school participate in after-school activities. That means all students have access to those activities, and over 80%. That's well over the state and national average for after-school participation. Every 3 years, our students participate in the YRBS survey, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And our most recent data indicates that students perceive their after-school activities to be a protective factor as young adolescents in our community. We are a rural community. You know, you drove through the metropolitan downtown Woodstock Village on your way here, but despite that mile or so stretch of downtown, we're very rural. There are 20 different towns represented in this middle school, high school. So we're not just the district, but beyond the district, we have additional choice and offerings here. But we're really proud. Students from middle school through high school participate in Yo. About 12% of our population participate in the theater program. Well over 80% again of our students participate in sports and activities. We have a portrait of a graduate, which was developed by our community, which included staff, families, students, and community members, and is our beacon of light and is what we use to help us determine what things we'll pilot, what we'll invest in, our time, resources, and energy. That is our filtering device that we use for those decisions. The top left-hand corner is an underwhelming picture of our school, and that was intentional. We could not find an overwhelming picture of our school, and you'll have those opportunities later today when we actually get to the guts of our building and facility, and then you may be overwhelmed or at that point. But I just bring that up, and I want to kind of juxtapose the top left-hand picture with the top right-hand picture. These two fine students were our co-salutatorians last year. So they also participate for all of their time here in extracurricular activities. And despite the facility, one of those young learners is at Yale currently, and the other at Bowdoin University. So these are two students that we're very proud of, not just because of their achievements, but because of the role modeling they did when they were here. You've heard from so many of our students and staff. This is a community just as much as a school district. And from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade, we have students interacting with students across our schools and across grade levels all the time. And that's really important to our community, our culture, and climate. So there's a lot more to talk about here with the middle school and high school. We're blessed to have the spotlight on us here throughout the day. So I'll turn it over to some other colleagues to continue. And I'll be back up in a few more slides to talk about specific accomplishments of our school and students.
One question.
Go ahead.
Has this been something that's been passed down for years? How Woodstock's been doing this type of mentorship, and this has been going on for years, correct?
Yeah, correct. Well-established community partnerships. And there's a slide that we'll get to today that I think the slide has maybe 20 to 50 community partnerships. And that's about half of the community partnerships that we engage in and have. So, as you know, there's, why you're here talking about consolidation and being more efficient. I mean, that takes years and generations to establish those relationships with community organizations and people. And yeah, that's something that is central to what we do here. We have a whole program here at the high school called Center for Community Connections. You know, it's a whole program designed around that. So yeah, very much a part of who we are and what we do.
Speak to, and it's great to have some of our board members who were here did our Act 46 merge. When we merged, we created a strategic plan, and in that strategic plan with parent, community, grandparent, teachers, student participation, making sure that we had those community connections was a high point of our first strategic plan and carried on to our second strategic plan. So as a superintendent, having a strategic plan is a gift because you really know where you're headed. And so it was because of our board members and our community involvement that was really elevated. You see that in our portrait of a graduate. Stewardship is one of our key characteristics. That's a rarity. But for our region, making sure we take responsibility for each other, our communities, and the world was a really critical piece and why it's represented by that global map. Thank you for the question.
Whoops, before you go away.
If I can, Sherry, so prior to Mountain View Supervisory Union, what existed? How many unions or districts or what have you?
So I was a special ed director at that time. We were Windsor Central Supervisory Union. So we had, at one point in time, 8 different school boards. We had 1 school board member for every 4 students.
Same footprint as we're talking about now.
Same
8.
exact towns. We had different, and Carrie was the union representative. We had different contracts, we had different grids, we had different calendars, we had different days, length of the day. And so once we merged, we were able to put all of that in line. And as many of our gifted teachers spoke to, we have a unified approach in terms of professional development. You know, people will be speaking to that so that when a student arrives in 7th grade, and I think Ada was probably in that meeting, we talked very deeply about when a student arrives here, and I was part of the middle school team, they all have very similar academic and leadership opportunities. So when they arrive here in 7th grade, they are all on the same page. That was critical and part of the work of a merged district.
Thanks.
Have you found that from the feeder schools, before the kids get here, have you found that they all come here with something approaching the same level of literacy, math skills? So that's beginning to work or working or?
Maggie alluded to that. Pre-K to 6 has a very defined amount of time for literacy, mathematics. Each of those are broken down to what are the core elements, so students have a similar experience. And I think you'll have an opportunity to speak to some middle school teachers how it was pre-merger and what it's like now. And students arrive having very similar literacy, social emotional. We all use the same social emotional curriculum. So when our students, we talk a lot as a leadership team, making sure that when students enter this building, they're having the same language. We talk about restorative practices. We make sure that they're really aligned and that all our teachers have all the same professional development. And that professional development continues through middle school and high school.
Perfect, thank you.
So I get a sense that maybe the high school goes out to the elementary schools and just works with them. Do you bring them to the high school so that they can experience it?
Well, that's a great transition because we're going to talk about our summer program.
Okay.
And that is held here on campus. It's one of the ways we bring students in. But Aaron?
Yeah, there are times throughout the school year where elementary students or 5th and 6th grade students from the other schools will join some of our programming, some of our student projects and so on. But yeah, you're right. A lot of the time our high school students or middle school students are going the other way, touching base with students. We have mentorship programs, curricular opportunity projects in the community.
And how did you decide which curriculum and which the path that you were going to take? How did you come to a decision there?
That's my job. Hi, I'm Jen Settle. I'm the curriculum director. And what we do is a collaborative approach. So we create groups of teachers that have high content knowledge through all the professional development we've done. And we look at best practices. We look at the research. We find all the programs that are out there that can fit our needs. We pilot those and we figure out what works best for us, that are the highest quality programs. And then we implement them district-wide. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone is lockstep with everything. We have incredible schools with incredible communities, and we make sure they're able to take those programs and integrate them with all the wonderful resources around them.
Thank you.
Follow up with that. So once you set that curriculum out and it does get altered some, it's just the school, it's the principal and the administration there that decide that they're gonna, tweak it a little bit, if you will.
So a program is a program. We have
Mhm.
specific learning outcomes that we're holding ourselves to. So when we say alter, it's not with any outcome-based differences whatsoever, but maybe leveraging certain resources locally. And yes, that would be a conversation among teachers and principals or among our leadership team. So we have all of our principals and administrators come together monthly, and it's an incredibly collaborative team where we share ideas and make connections.
Thank you.
Devin Workman again. This time I'm representing as the proud director of Summer SOAK, which is our summer program here. SOAK stands for Student Opportunity for Achievement and Knowledge. We all know about the summer slide. About 12 years ago, Sherry Sousa and Tom Emery started Summer SOAK. It was much smaller and looked a lot different then. We have happened every summer since, including the summer of COVID. We represented ourselves on 3 different campuses to be able to spread kids out and hired more staff than ever before to be able to support those kiddos with social distancing and all those variety of different things. Outside of that summer, we have, as Sherry alluded to, run that program here, specifically in the middle school wing, in order to get kids more involved and to experience the middle school here at the big school. At Summer SOAK, there's a lot of different opportunities. It was hard to pick pictures. I have a lot of pictures of Summer SOAK. Just here alone, we have a student riding in our Everything Equine course. The bottom left, we have students learning how to paddle in our A Week in the Woods course. I will never forget the day when a student joined that course for the first time and asked what a kayak was and was so excited to learn how to drive a boat, he said. In the bottom right represents our Mini SOAK, which we have started. This is the 3rd year of Mini SOAK for rising kindergartners. And this is them visiting a sugar shack, doing maple creamies over the summer. And then our middle photo there is all 200 and some students that were represented last year. Enrichment opportunities, hands-on learning are all sorts of things that we focus on at Summer SOAK, in addition to the fact of kids accessing ESY or extended school year services over the summer. SOAK runs for 4 weeks in the month of July, and kids on any EST, educational support team plans, IEPs that require services over the summer in order to maintain what they left the school year with, access those daily on campus without missing any of these awesome opportunities that are provided throughout a given day. Please.
How do you fund that? Is that all part of the school budget, or do you have a nonprofit that benefits from special funding?
It's a lot of fundraising. Some Medicaid dollars for now, because that is how we get to support some of the students and the services. Tuition, though we keep a very low tuition, it's $200 a week for 8:30 to 3:30 programming, 5 days a week for 4 weeks of the summer. We try to keep that as affordable as possible, and tuition is definitely one way that we help fund it. And then a lot of fundraising from local businesses, grant writing, things like that to help supplement. All of the money that is raised for Summer SOAK specifically and only goes for scholarships to help supplement access for families to be able to attend.
That's great. Is somebody going to talk about after school as well? You touched on it.
After school, we had partnered with community.
Don't go away.
We are really lucky to access an amazing program, the community campus. So students at Woodstock Elementary School, Concord Barnett can take advantage of those programs. Killington Rec Department has provided after school. So we have really been excited to work with our partners who, with students at the end of the day, they can leave their school campus and go to another program. We found that to be really beneficial for our communities. It has been a challenge. We've had communities, Reading has really had a tough time finding that with smaller schools. It's expensive to run, but those are the, and it was, more importantly, it was really hard to staff. We couldn't find individuals who could, be here from, 2:30 to 5:30 daily. And that was why we really moved to community partners. We couldn't find people to run those programs.
So if you're looking for an after-school job,
No, you go.
So the reason I ask that is because I've heard this story from other schools is, there's money from the cannabis tax that is specially designated for after-school programs, which goes after school and during the summer. Nobody ever applies for that.
How do I do that?
Down here.
And I've looked at all those grants, we wouldn't qualify, it really is very narrow in its definition of who can access the resource. And even though we've looked at it and our partners have looked at it, community partners, we wouldn't qualify for those grants.
Okay.
I think one of the other things to note is, I jumped on the fact that it happens at the middle school to help prep these kids. However, due to the state of our middle school, it can't happen there this summer. So we, for the first time, other than the COVID year, are having it happen at a different campus. It'll be happening at the Prosper Valley campus for the first time ever, which is really exciting. A lot of great opportunities over there. And Prosper Valley right now supports 110 kids, and we usually have anywhere from 2 to 210 at Summer Soak. So it's going to be cozy over there.
So do you find that you have kids then across the entire socioeconomic spectrum?
Absolutely.
At the summer. So,
absolutely.
and if money were not an object and you could kind of wave a wand as the director, what else would you be doing with that program in the summer?
Oh, step one would be increasing programming for older students. That has always been a missing factor due to, we brought up staffing. So similar, if you want a summer job, I've got something for you. But we struggle to get staff and teachers to be able to work throughout the summer. We've increased our pay for staff over the summer. It's good pay for teachers. It's good. We provide time on campus to be able to prep because we know teachers spend weekends every year prepping for the school year, but trying really hard to make it so that those are their weekends during the summer. In addition to that, we have a counselors in training program, which is originally for rising 8th through 10th graders. And that is something that's dying off a little bit. I mean, kids really want to be able to go out and make money and get jobs. So we have a junior counselor program for rising juniors and seniors. But with more money, I would extend our junior counselor program to involve younger students. It's an opportunity for them. They have to apply with a resume and letters of recommendation, or excuse me, not letters, but references. I call those references. I interview those students, and they really have sometimes their first opportunity to apply for a job and have a job interview opportunity, and then come and shine, being able to be that mentor and teacher to some of those younger students. So I think for one, we have a really big representation of our younger students, really like 1st through 4th grade. 5th and 6th grade, it's getting to be, they're going off and wanting to do some other opportunities. But really rising 7th through 12th graders, I'd love to be able to provide more of a job opportunity with some money to be able to pay them.
We're gonna move on, we're only a quarter way through our presentation.
Good morning. My name's Raphael Adamek. I'm the Director of Technology and Innovation here for the district. I've been here for 11 years. I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the geography of our district. So there are 8 towns that are part of the MVSU that you can see in blue on that map. And additionally, there are 13 communities sending students to this building, which you can see on red in that map. So some of those communities offer high school choice, such as Wethersfield and Heartland. However, we also have students from other communities such as Bethel, Cavendish, Hartford, Royalton, West Windsor. And these students are attending school here through the Public High School Choice Act 129. Last year, the board voted to increase that number to 15. And so right now we have 14 students participating in that program.
Jen Settle, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. I'm going to speak to our Portrait of a Graduate. So we are in our 2nd round of our Portrait of a Graduate. We recreate our Portrait of a Graduate with every new strategic plan. We create our Portrait of a Graduate with lots of feedback from teachers, community members, administrators, and this is the most recent version. I'd say that what I love about it is you can see that on the circle there in the middle, at the top, we are locally inspired, and on the bottom, we are globally prepared. That's sort of our motto as we're working with our students. We have 5 areas that we focus on. 2 I'll bring up right now that I think are a little bit different from other Portraits of a Graduate you might have seen. First of all, academic success is at the core of everything we do. We want students to have a strong foundation so that they can be great critical thinkers and problem solvers.
And then down at the bottom, we have stewardship as one of our factors. I've never seen another portrait of a graduate with stewardship before. And that's really about students taking action for their well-being personally and also for their community. And we have a heavy emphasis on the environment as well. All of our schools and all of our teachers assess and build these skills in our students over time.
So I alluded to this before. So we do have a strategic plan. This is our second round. And our critical focus areas are around enhancing educational programs and diversifying pathways, vibrant home, school, and community partnerships, a culture of belonging, purpose, and joy, self and supportive school environments, and foundational systems. And now we're going to break down our evidence of the work we've done in each of those categories.
I'm Shana Kalnitzky. I'm the Director of Student Support Services. And in our district, all means all for all of our students, whether they're headed to the military, into the trades, bound for college, or going to the hospitality industry, or taking over the family farm. Our students not only have the options to support their interests, but specialized staff and programs to turn those interests into careers and carve out a path for their future. Some of the opportunities that our students have are early college, CTE programs at Hartford Area Tech Center. They do four-year planning with their guidance counselors, dual enrollment in college during their high school years. Even our most intensive needs students with disabilities are out working in the community and in the school every day. We have a class called Future You, high levels or high numbers of internships through our Center for Community Connections, our C3 program. And we work with outside agencies such as Lincoln Street and Higher Ability to ensure opportunities for all our students and their future.
How far is it from Woodstock to the CTE?
I can't.
25 minutes.
25.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Patty Kelly, I'm the district math coordinator. And we have a number of components that feed into supporting our district's math vision of cultivating mathematicians who believe that math is logical, useful, and that perseverance will lead to success. So the first component is around our professional learning and how we've designed that district-wide for educators entering our system and in our system. So the first part is a math pack professional development for our teachers in their second year in the district. So that really builds the foundation of the why. What is it that we believe in as a district in terms of math teaching and learning? What does that progression of learning look like across the grade levels? And what are their core elements of vocabulary, generalizations, notation, representations that we use within our math teaching that's coherent across grade levels? We also have 4 half-day opportunities by grade level where teachers are coming together this year, and I'll speak to it a little bit later around the math program that we've adopted. So a big part of our work this year is around coming together and engaging in conversations about those math resources and how are we using them, what issues are we having with them, how might we want to adapt them to better meet the needs of students. We also have a teacher development group as a consulting company. We received a grant this year to provide professional learning for our middle school and high school teachers, where they have engaged in a math seminar around ambitious math teaching practices. And we're going to do several math studio cycles or like coaching cycles with the consultants around our math teaching and learning. We also have a math equity work group that works pre-K-12. We have representatives from all the schools that come together a few times a year. And that group is what builds our math vision, our mission, our goals, our action steps as a district and a system. As well, I work across schools in multiple ways, supporting teachers and administrators as needed in implementing math resources, co-teaching, supporting data analysis, lots of different things. So another piece to our puzzle is around the resources that we're using, the high quality instructional materials. We talked a little bit about it already. We did adopt Imagine Learning's Illustrative Mathematics. It's a publisher that's publishing this illustrative mathematics program. We adopted that last year through a process of adoption And so we're implementing that for the first time this year and finding a lot of success for teachers' ability to use the program, excitement from students around the materials that they're using. In addition, I've created some resources, a Padlet to provide additional resources that might be useful, pacing guides, so that when we come together as grade level teams, we can collaboratively talk about the lessons we're working on approximately in the same time frame across schools. We also have the same base program, A Luster of Mathematics, a different publisher that's being used for 5th through 8th grade. So we have this coherence of the programming K-8 now, which is really exciting. I also put out a math newsletter every few months to provide information to teachers around additional research or additional resources, local professional learning opportunities that might be happening across the state, that sort of thing. And then the last piece is our comprehensive assessment system that's really been developing over the last several years and given us a lot of opportunity to inform our instruction, inform our system. Our universal screeners are, we use the universal screener for number sense for students. We use a STAR assessment platform, and then we have the Vermont Comprehensive Assessment, where we're looking at data district-wide and thinking about our systems and the resources and how they all feed together. We've seen a number of really great gains in that. Just some examples from the Vermont Comprehensive Assessment. We had our 5th grade cohort that went from 42% proficiency to 65 this last spring. And then we had our 8th grade students who went from 61% as 9th graders. They were 73% proficient in math. So we have a lot of exciting things happening.
Just real quick, you mentioned a grant you applied for teachers to participate in summer courses. Is that, can you explain that?
So that was actually a grant through the Agency of Education.
Okay.
That they put out around providing professional learning for teachers. So we submitted for that and were able to do the work with teacher development group as well as supplement some other coursework for some specific.
So that's available to everybody.
It is.
I was just wondering where the grant came.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One quick question. The jump between the 5th and the 6th graders and then the 8th and the 9th graders, which is great, that increase in proficiency. What exactly is happening to improve that proficiency?
I think a lot of it has a lot to do with the collaboration and the consistency of how we're providing those resources to teachers and the opportunities for students to be able to bridge that learning across grade levels. So the fact that we've done a lot of work now in the last several years to all be on the same page around the language we're using, the representations that students are using in showing their math thinking, because there's that consistency, students are able to start the year off with this, there's this common piece to their learning that I think has really started to show that teachers are able to bring that with students and connect to their prior learning really well.
Thanks.
So talk to us a little bit about so as the kids are getting older, the proficiency is going up. So what's the explanation for why you're not doing as well, perhaps in the lower grades? Or am I
I
misreading
wouldn't
that?
say that necessarily. Those were just two examples of grade levels where we did see particularly large grade gains in their math, but there are other grade levels where they also maybe are starting higher or whatever. They don't do the Vermont Comprehensive Assessment until 3rd grade. So we have local screeners that we use to collect data at those grade levels as well. But I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a trend. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as echo what my colleagues have said, thank you all so much for being here. I'm Dr. Julie Brown. I'm the literacy facilitator here at Mountain View Supervisory Union. And I'm so lucky to work with these amazing educators. I just feel like I have the best job in the world. I shared some thoughts with Senator Baumgartz at the meet and greet this morning, and he asked me to put that into the presentation. So a few sentences to preface our work here. We were discussing that Vermont's experiencing financial strain and increasing need for Vermonters to access food, housing, mental health, and special education services, to name a few. The nexus of many societal problems is low and illiteracy. Literacy being the ability to read, write, and reason critically across the content areas. Cost to our nation, Rothwell put out a report in 2020 for the Barbara Bush Foundation. He estimated that low and illiteracy cost our nation $2.2 trillion annually. Very few states have fallen as far as Vermont on a recent measure of 4th and 8th grade literacy skills. And I believe, and I think all of our colleagues here in our community, we believe that improving literacy outcomes is a moral imperative and a financial imperative for Vermont. So at Mountain Views, I'm so proud to work in a school district with our leadership and with teachers that would work together and create a document that comes out and says success in reading is an issue of equity. So our Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, Dr. Jennifer Settle, and a collaborative group of teachers looked at the research, looked what was possible for our students, looked for areas of improvement, and came up with an ambitious statement and goal for literacy that 90% of our students would be proficient by 3rd grade and remain so. Our approach would be to follow the research and evidence-based literacy practices for professional learning, interventions, instruction, curriculum, and assessment decisions. And I think you'll see, and you've been hearing, that we're enjoying our work and trying to do just that. So how are we doing towards our goals for literacy? Not just for literacy's sake, but because it is a foundation for learning and success in life. Our Vermont state testing results from, if you could just advance one more. Thanks. So on the right, let's look at that slide in the interest of time. That image, that is our Vermont Cognia state testing results from 23, 24, and 25. And you can see a significant increase in our 3rd grade reading scores. What that graph doesn't show is that 70% of our 3rd graders last year performed with distinction, greater than the number that had previously been proficient. So we're experiencing gains that are quite marked in some grade levels. All of our grades that are assessed by this assessment are between 10 and 30% above the state average. And just a quick snapshot of how we're doing on that and remain so portion of our goal. 10th grade is the final year that our district is a universal screener of assessment. And you can see that in 2022, 43% of our students were still demonstrating a need for intervention. They were scoring below green and blue, if you will, below the benchmark and below the on-watch. And we are now at this. There's one more column we could add this fall. We're down to 8% of our students needing intervention. At the end of last school year, we had 89% of our 10th graders above that intervention level. And we're achieving that. I think correlation is not causation, but all the good work that you're hearing from my colleagues, I think builds collective efficacy. We believe that what we do and our instruction impacts learning, and that when we work together, we can make a big difference for our students. I wonder what the next slide shows. The below proficient is declining. It's the same graph, just above and below the intervention level. And I think that's all I have for literacy. So thank you again. And if you have any questions before we hear from all the other good work in our district.
Yeah. So, thank you for your presentation. This is really very helpful. I'm curious if this rebound in literacy is possibly partly a post-COVID resurgence of, kind of nullifying the effects of the COVID.
It could be, but when you look at national and state level data, we're continuing to decline. So this is bucking that trend.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And is that because you,
Okay.
is that because you're making it a priority here?
Well, again, correlation isn't causation, but all our efforts together are coinciding with this rise in scores. But everyone's on board here, from summer soak programming to our preschool teachers to all the way up through our 12th grade teachers are focusing in on improving our practices and following best evidence for literacy, reading, writing, speaking, and reasoning.
Maybe 3 years ago, we had some legislation come through the education committee about, literacy, specifically K-3. And we tried to, support with, I don't want to use the word mandate, but there was funding, there was guidance for, to the AOE about, focusing on literacy. I'm just curious now, since you're in front of us, have you seen any net effect in 2 years about AOE support for literacy, or is it really all your effort locally?
I think it's nascent efforts still at the state, and I would suggest that our work here is really the result of leadership and Sherry Sousa's vision for student achievement in this district and bringing the community and teachers along. So I was recently at a presentation by an activist, Kareem Weaver. He put together a movie called The Right to Read, and he summed up what do we need to do to improve dramatically literacy in this country. And he said, step one, get a superintendent who understands that literacy is equity. Step two, set a specific goal for student achievement and work towards it like your students' lives depend on it, because they do. And all I could do not to jump up and down and say, come to Mountain Views. We're lucky enough to have that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
To just give you a little bit more context about our VTCAP scores, Cognia scores, how they compare across the state. So during the 2025 VCAP administration, our average percent proficient was the highest that it had been in any of the 3 years for all 3 subjects. So across math, ELA, and science, our average percent proficient is going up. And this is particularly impressive because we don't have the data from this year yet, but in 2024, we know where we ranked in terms of where the other SUs in the state were. And at that time, we were near the top. And so we're continuing on this trajectory to improve those scores. And as Sherry noted, she hasn't seen growth like this in the 32 years that she's been here. So we know that we're improving, and we're also relative to our peers, where we're still moving in the right direction.
So during the summer soak program, you have students you ever have anybody come to you and say, I know I'm deficient in literacy or reading, and I'd really like to get, do they have an option during that off school time to get more instruction?
Yeah, that's part of what we provide is for those students. We follow the data and have those educators who are closest with those students to be able to make plans, because it's not just throwing somebody into that intervention. It really is driven by goals and the work that had been done over a previous year. But yes, we had, I could get the actual numbers, but half of our first through third graders who were on IEPs or ESTs attended summer soak. The other half who did not attend still came to that campus to be able to access those services. So even if families have different plans during the summer that doesn't include the summer program that we have, they can still access those services on our campus.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello again. I alluded to this slide earlier this morning. These are just the cross section of things that we're really proud of here from our students and our programming. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but this is a really great representation of our portrait of a graduate at work. So 96% of our students graduated in 2004. 18 of our students are part of the National Honor Society. We're a seal of biliteracy school in the state of Vermont. 18 students in dual enrollment programs. So many of our students participate in AP courses. Just about 50% of our 9th through 10th graders participate in college level classes while they're here at our school, which is incredible, and so on. So a bunch of folks that have things to share, and so please, questions.
So do we have access to your slides?
If you don't yet, you will by the end of the day today. Yes.
Sit on the education website.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
We're gonna do our perky pace. So on our perky pace, our next area that we want to talk about is our homeschool and community partnerships and work we've done to develop relationships with our families.
That's me, and I'll be really super perky. So one thing that we, one thing that we have done to provide a consistent communication system is to implement Parent Square across all of our schools. So all of our parents receive Parent Square notifications from their teachers or administration or superintendent. And that way they can decide how they want to receive it, either email, text, when they want to receive it, at the end of their day, not during their work, unless it's an urgent message. So that communication piece with Parent Square has been really important. And also new this year, we're implementing something called Family and Educators Together, which really is a model designed to bring educators and underrepresented families together. And we can hear those who we don't hear their voices of very often can come to our school in a smaller setting and share their thoughts and their voice. And we can get everybody's input in our schools.
A while back, I had a constituent come to me concerned because AOE cut back on the reporting requirements for their academic standing of their children. Did you find any of that concern here? What with your homeschool?
I'm sorry.
The reporting standards?
Yes, they weren't required to report annually as they had been previous to that.
I'm not sure.
No? Do you mean homeschoolers? Homeschoolers.
Oh, no. So the homeschooling program, well, that is an issue in terms of accountability
Right.
for parents who
Correct.
choose to go that pathway.
Right.
We are not involved in that reporting.
Okay,
part.
all right.
Thank you.
So we had a bill that came through the committee this last year, earlier this year, about using social media for communication with parents and students and such. And I'm just curious if, I think you mentioned Parent Square, if that was kind of a solution at the supervisory union level for that potential problem, kind of trying to get drifting away from social media, use of social media.
So Parent Square teachers use it a lot for their classrooms, so they can communicate directly with all of their parents in their classroom. They can share class work, events, projects that are happening in their classrooms. I can send out a newsletter to all of my families via Parent Square, or I can just send a notification to one family if I want to through that.
Selected Parent Square, so parents can choose which methodology they want to use to receive information from their teachers and their school. So it could be an email, it could be on their cell phone, it could be a phone call. And then, so for example, when I cancel school, they have control of how information comes to them. So that's why we selected that platform.
Okay, good, all good. I'm just curious if you're balancing it out. Are you still using social media?
So I have to be honest, at Killington, we don't really use the social media. Our pre-K uses a program called Seesaw, which kind of acts like a social media, but it's only for those pre-K parents to share activities and events that they're doing in the classroom. But we've not really embraced a Facebook or Instagram account at Killington, nor has our parent group. I think they created one, but they haven't really used it that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Senator, we went with the Parent Square before the legislation came out, so we had other reasons and were motivated for that, before the legislation. But at the high school, yeah, we were not using social media as maybe have been in the past. Specifically right now, it's like, how do we have students that are champions of reporting out on the sporting events and after school activities. We've got a lot of students that participate. So we are walking that line right now with the legislation out of what needs to be loose, what needs to be tight, how do we honor and celebrate those things and communicate that way, but without the social media component that's in the legislation. So we're still working on that.
Okay, we're behind here.
Just want to be, we have students who are waiting to present. Tom, if you want to go, and then I'll just walk us through the remaining slides. If you all go.
Morning, my name is Tom Emery. I am the Special Education Coordinator for the Woodstock Union High School and Middle School, as well as Dean of Students for the middle school. I'm also, in transparency, parent of 3 graduates from the high school and a senior this year. If you skip to the next slide, I'm here. Nope, one more. This is a list of our community partnerships. Okay, it's by no means, it was referenced before, a comprehensive list. This is just half of what we have in the community, but you can see the diverse interests that our students and community partners are able to collaborate on projects, and through their experience, they're really able to get a real world experience, as they experience these things. So, Perky Pace. Yeah.
Thank you. Commando over debate. So we're just gonna go through the remaining slides. Belonging, purpose, and joy, again, another component of our strategic plan. You can see in this slide, this is just some representation of the leadership opportunities just at our elementary schools. Killington, that's okay, that's a Perky Pace. In terms of our high school, we have a sophomore job shadow day. We have 169 leadership opportunities in this high school and middle school alone. In terms of our athletics and co-curriculars, 11% in theater, 75% of our students play either a fall or winter sport. 72% of those students are identified as economically disadvantaged. There is no block to participate in any of our activities. 30%, oh, she's really done. 30% of our students play a fall and winter sport. 77% of our students who are not economically disadvantaged play a fall or winter sport. So you can see here are all the numbers of our students playing in their co-curriculars. We were recognized, and I will turn to Jan and our middle school team. If you want to just quickly say about how this worked here.
Yes, so our middle school applied to become an Association for Middle Level Education School of Distinction, which was a very extensive application process. Essentially, after we applied, it was our first year ever applying. Often schools take multiple years before they are given this accreditation. We received it upon our first application. And all we simply did was speak about what we have going on in our middle school. So we just recently went to Indianapolis to pick up this award. You can see it standing on the left there, along with 20 other schools from around the state. We are the only middle school in the state of Vermont that has this school distinction accolade at this time. And in order to receive this award, we also had to make a video, which is on the next slide. We would love for you to watch it at some point. We do not have the time right now, but it demonstrates everything we have going on in our middle school, which is absolutely amazing.
Safe and supportive school environments, another part of our strategic plan. This is really important as someone who's been here for 30 years. Our youth risk behavior survey data, this was sent to us from the Agency of Health. 79% of our students have more than 10 hours a week of after school activities. State average is 24%. 79% of our students identify that they matter to others in the community. State average is 54%. 79% of our students plan to attend school after finishing high school. We are recognized for how well our students are prepared in terms of these risk data. This is the work we're doing in our terms of our facilities across our district. You can see all the different things that we are working on and investing in. We are taking care of our buildings. They're getting old. Foundational systems are another part of the strategic plan. You can see all the different opportunities that our teachers have for professional development. They spoke really well to that. We maintain our teachers, and the majority, 3/4 of our teachers either have a PhD or a master's. And we provide that through our collective bargaining agreement in terms of conference access and courses. We really, the equity piece is a critical piece. I'm going to have Raphael step in because he speaks best to this representation.
So
one of the biggest equity concerns that we have is the gap between
Thanks, you guys. Thank you.
performance on academic assessments between students who are economically disadvantaged and those who are not. And so in the last winter, we had some interesting data where on the left, you'll see the gaps between students who were receiving free reduced lunch and those who are not on the measures in terms of proficiency. But you'll notice that the growth on the right was the same for both groups. And so that was a really encouraging sign that we may be beginning to start to close that gap that we experienced before. And the work is not done. It's not even close to done. These are the gaps that we saw between our economically disadvantaged and non-economically disadvantaged families on the VT-CAP in 2025. And you'll see there are really large gaps in all these assessment areas. However, there are a couple of little points of hope in this. Go ahead, one more. In 2 grade levels, so in our 3rd grade ELA and our 9th grade ELA, there was no difference between our students who were economically disadvantaged and those who are not. And you'll see those numbers and compared to the state average. So this is cause for us to be excited, and we're cautiously optimistic that we're moving in the right direction and we're beginning to close those gaps that exist.
How far out does your strategic plan go? I mean,
We're in year 2, we have 3 more years.
Okay, so it's a 5-year plan. You have decision support template for, do we need to go, how often do you meet?
So we have what we call our continuous improvement cycle team. We meet once a month where we look at the data, we look at our triangulation of data, we look at what other things that we need to continue. You can never take your foot off the pedal, and we know that. We can't, because we're here, we can't slow down. Raph is so great about talking about getting through the last mile is the most important piece. So we do that regular revision. I report out to the school board. It's part of our policy that I report annually. I do a comprehensive evaluation of progress. And because I'm a surviving special ed teacher, we go through each of the goals and objectives and rate ourselves in terms of what work we've begun, what's underway, and what we've accomplished. And so that's reported out to our communities annually. It's on our website.
Thank you.
Lots of it now. And so equity data in terms of we have 25% of our students identify as economically disadvantaged. 19% of those students are in our AP classes, so well represented. We're looking at how our students, in terms of those who identify as male, in terms of representation of incident data, we were seeing a more male representation. We're really attending to that, overrepresentation of males in office referrals. We also look in terms of economically disadvantaged students and referrals to disciplinary. And again, that's down 6% since the previous year. So we really attend to our data systematically and consistently. Our BIPOC data in terms of 10% of our students identify as part of the BIPOC community, 2% of our faculty hiring, so we have a greater diversification. It's been really challenging. And then we really look to see what the representation is in terms of disciplinary involvement as well as AP class involvement. And you can see we have a Late Start Wednesday where we really work on our equity, inclusion, and diversity policy and attending to that. And so we heard our teachers speak. We have a commitment to coherence, that the solution requires the individual collective ability to build shared meaning, capacity, and commitment to action. When large numbers of people have a deeply understood sense of what needs to be done, I hope you heard that today, and see their part in achieving that. That's why the students and teachers spoke today. Coherence emerges and powerful things happen. These are all the different things we are proud of. The list can continue. And then we have what we call our coherence document. Next one. And this is where this is our commitment to action. So students should be able to see, no matter what grade, I'm a reader, I belong and I care, and I'm a mathematician. That's really critical. What are our teachers' roles? What are our school leaders' roles? What is the central office role? And I was really proud of our board. They wanted in, and they really felt it was important for the board to advocate for resources, write impactful policies, and value the work of MVSU. So finally, we are MVSU and we are all learners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have one question. I know we're way behind, but this is impressive. It's clear there's something really special going on here. I think you have about 1,000 kids in the system. Did I see that? Is that one of the things that makes it possible for you to do? Oh, I'm thinking about scale and whether you view this is from your perspective, the right scale, what it would be like to try to replicate the same thing with 3,000 or 4,000 with harder? Would you be able to get as far? What's your sense of,
So the job changes significantly of the superintendent when you increase numbers. So because of 1,000 students and a number of schools, I'm able to meet with principals on a regular basis. We have goals, we have an agenda, we have a real focus on instructional leadership. So if you were to quadruple the size of this district, the role of the superintendent would be working with school boards and with a very higher level. So with 1,000 students, I'm able to be as involved as you can see. I have relationships with students. I can walk through the high school. I know many of the students. That will change significantly if you increase the scale.
okay, I know we gotta stop.
Yes.
In the high school.
I will say the number one, and again, as someone who's been here for as long as I have, going from a supervisory unit to a school district and being able to access this quality of a team really has been a game changer for us. We did not see any movement on our test scores for years. And again, dedicated teachers, dedicated superintendent, all those pieces, but having the coherence that you see here, having the teachers speak to that level of professional development has really made a change in I would say 4 years.
Thanks.
So we're going to take a break and then we're going to break in some of our
time
high
for that.
school
But
students.
we should just stand in place, right?
Yeah, well, no, there's a beautiful
Yeah.
tea and coffee and all those kinds of things. We're going to rearrange the space a little bit.
Okay.
And our students are going to come in.
Okay.
And what time will we come back?
You've got 5 minutes.